In this video, we look at 7 of the biggest concerts of all time, from the biggest concert ever, Rod Stewart performing live to a million people, all the way to the Beach Boys performing to 1 million people with Jimmy Page on guitar and Mr. T on drums. So last night I played a show in a bar to about 10-15 people, so I'm going to put this on this graph here so that we've got a good point of reference going forwards. Anyway, let's dive into 7 enormous concerts and how many people attended each one. Quick disclaimer, these aren't the 7 biggest in order, or even the 7 biggest, but they are 7 massive ones with pretty awesome backstories behind them. However, we are going to talk about the biggest concert of all time on record, which is the Rod Stewart concert I mentioned a second ago. If you enjoy the video, please do leave a like and consider subscribing, as I release new videos on interesting music topics every other Monday, and this is a new venture, so any engagement at all is really going to help out this channel. 7. Jean-Michel Jarre, Paris, 1979. 1 million people. The first concert to ever surpass 1 million people and enter the Guinness Book of World Records for doing so was Jean-Michel Jarre playing at Bastille Day in Paris, July the 14th, 1979. His website actually claims it was 1.5 million people, but a lot of other sources online only say 1 million. Okay, I've watched this footage hundreds of times, and I've counted every single person on there, and I'm pretty confident it's somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million. Taking place at Place de la Concorde, the concert was accompanied by giant light projections and firework displays. Jean-Michel Jarre played this show entirely on his own, as if performing to 1 million people isn't terrifying enough. But he set the record for the largest concert ever, which, as you'll see further on in this list, many people after him tried to break. 6. The Beach Boys, Philadelphia, 1985, 1 million. On Independence Day in 1985, the Beach Boys took to the Benjamin Franklin Parkway in Philadelphia to perform a free fundraising concert for 1 million people. It was part of an event called From Sea to Shining Sea, where the band flew straight from Philadelphia after the show finished to Washington to perform another concert. The concerts were organized by Beach Boys co-founder Mike Love to, quote, feed the hungry and carry out restoration work to the Statue of Liberty. At the Philadelphia concert, joining the Beach Boys on stage was Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin on guitar and Mr. T from the A-Team on drums. Oh, how I wish there was a better photo of this, but apparently it was the 1980s and everyone was too spangled to record such a momentous occasion. But in this footage you can kind of see Mr. T jamming away with these rock and roll legends. And here is a quick clip of Jimmy Page soloing with the Beach Boys at this concert.
Oh, Jimmy!
As you can see from this footage, the rock concert charity event was a huge success as a rock concert. However, it was a monumental failure as a charity event. In an October 1986 article in the Daily News, Cynthia Burton detailed some of the reasons that the fundraising event failed to raise any funds. According to her, whilst organizing the event, Mike Love wondered whether the crime rate in Washington, D.C. would drop if enough people meditated during the show. So he flew 6 transcendental meditators from Iowa to New York City to discuss it. Love's interest in spirituality at the time also apparently led to him missing several crucial planning events for the concert, due to him spending time in his hotel room meditating. The official vendors, which were supposed to be one of the main sources of income for the funds raised in the show, claimed they didn't make any money during the event. This was due to 131 unsanctioned sellers with food trucks and fake merchandise setting up next to them and selling everything for cheaper. Another source of the funds was supposed to come from Mike Love telling everyone to donate $4 for the 4th and placing metal barrels all over the event for people to do so. However, he just didn't tell anyone that this was the plan, so by the end of the concert they were mostly used as bins and a total of $25 was found in them. Not only this, but Mr. T missed his flight out of Washington the next day, and they had to charter him a jet costing $17,000 to get him home to California. After the disaster of a fundraiser the foundation set up for the event found themselves with creditors across the country claiming they owed a sum of $3 million. This included American Airlines, who had given $1.9 million to the cause, whilst donating $500,000 of free airline tickets to the staff, crew, and musicians. As well as this, Hyatt Hotels, who donated 70 rooms in Washington and 57 rooms in Philadelphia, claimed an extra $30,000 of charges racked up during the stay. And incredibly, the city of Philadelphia themselves claimed charges of $267,000, which, due to there only being $1,600 in the foundation's bank account, they later claimed back in the form of 4,000 copies of an LP of the concert, which then failed to sell and ended up in a warehouse somewhere. These LPs eventually did make their way out of the warehouse and have since become a rare collector's item. 5. Jean-Michel Jarre, Houston, 1986, 1.3 million. Wow, appearing on this list not once, but twice. So it seems Jean-Michel Jarre managed to outdo his Paris 1979 concert by an extra 300,000 people or so. The Rendezvous Houston was a concert in 1986, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the city as well as the 25th anniversary of NASA. However, it was also an event to remember the astronauts lost in the Challenger space shuttle disaster, which occurred just a few months earlier. This disaster happened 73 seconds into the flight, killing all 7 members on board, including saxophonist Ron McNair, a friend of Jean-Michel Jarre, who had initially intended to take part in the concert. The plan was to record McNair playing saxophone in space, and the visuals were then going to be projected onto the surrounding buildings in Houston during the last track of the concert. Of course, tragically, he was never able to. Allegedly, during the concert, the FBI tried to shut it down due to the power it required interfering with their ongoing surveillance of dictator Colonel Gaddafi, who was visiting at the time. There were also supposedly worries of a last-minute change of wind causing firework ash to rain down on the concertgoers. Robert Clayton, the chief of Houston's fire department, desperately tried to stop the concert last minute for this reason, but was told to just, quote, "see how it goes." Clayton was bang on the money, and during the show, exactly this happened. He once again tried to stop the show before realizing that the concertgoers, assumingly completely entranced in Jarre's performance, were unfazed by the firework ash landing on them. 4. Diana Ross, Central Park, 1983, 800,000. In 1983, Diana Ross took to Central Park to play a concert to 800,000 folk. Another fundraiser event, although much less ambitious than the Beach Boys event, this was just to raise funds for a children's play park, which was later renamed to the Diana Ross Playground. However, it didn't come without its own complications. 45 minutes into the concert, storms began with 50 miles per hour wind, as electrical power was disrupted for 40,000 homes throughout New York City. However, the next day the concert got a second take and went ahead again. Yet, unfortunately, having to organize a second night unplanned on the day is probably one of the reasons why this event wasn't profitable whatsoever. Diana Ross made a personal contribution to the playground in the end, which made up for the loss of the concerts. The Diana Ross Playground opened in 1986, with Ross calling it, quote, "one of the most fulfilling aspects of my life and career." If only Mike Love had have personally paid for the Statue of Liberty restoration he so desperately wanted, he could have called it the Mike Love Statue of Liberty. 3. Jean-Michel Jarre, Paris, 1990, 2.5 million people. Okay, appearing on this list not twice, but thrice, he's back at it again, almost doubling his previous record, and playing once again to celebrate Bastille Day on the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution. This time, Jarre played at the modern downtown business quarters of Paris. With a pyramid-shaped stage designed to fit the geometrical architecture of the setting where he performed, amongst von Spreckelsen's new Arc de Triomphe and various enormous skyscrapers littering the horizon. The entire show was synchronized to and illuminated by an enormous 65 tons of fireworks, with crazy lasers and light projections helping too. Anyway, he's taken up quite enough time for this video, so on to the next entry. 2. Jean-Michel Jarre, Moscow, 1997, over 3.5 million. Again? That's right, Jean-Michel Jarre has held the largest concert ever record 4 separate times in 3 separate continents. This concert was his first and much anticipated appearance in Russia, celebrating the 850th anniversary of Moscow. This concert was originally planned to be pretty big, with 500,000 people surrounding the stage. However, people really wanted to see Jean-Michel Jarre, so they ended up climbing on the surrounding hills just to be able to watch his sound and light show from afar. Which means that the original concert for 500,000 people ended up being shown to 3.5 million people. Anyway, he actually has taken up enough time in this video, so now we're going to talk about the biggest concert of all time. 1. Rod Stewart, Copacabana Beach, 1994, 4.2 million. I'm going to make an assumption here that the same camera crew that mucked up filming Mr. T drumming with Jimmy Page on guitar were also capturing this event, as there is barely any good footage of the largest concert of all time, with 4.2 million people squeezed together for the same event in the same place. The pictures and footage that does exist is kind of underwhelming considering it's over 4 million people. However, despite the number being as high as it is, Guinness Book of World Records states that a lot of those people probably just arrived late to watch the firework display. Stewart currently still holds the Guinness World Record for the largest concert ever because of this. However, it's worth noting that Jean-Michel Jarre still holds his too, as his category is largest free concert ever as a solo performer. Rod Stewart performed this show with his own backing band, so it holds the record in the non-solo category. Even if there were accurate images and videos of the amount of people there, it is a totally incomprehensible image. In the modern digital age, there are tons of concerts even here on YouTube with tens or hundreds of millions of views on them. But the fact these are done from people's own homes at their own leisure, and counting rewatches, gives them quite the advantage. The idea of getting 4.2 million people together for the same purpose is completely insane. In human history, this many people coming together for the same thing is pretty much only seen in military battles. Yet here we are with over 4 million people coming together to watch a Rod Stewart concert. Surely this answers the age-old question. Yes, Rod, the people do think you're sexy. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe if you want to hear more interesting music history and facts, and I'll see you in a couple weeks for another video. Until then, cheers!